Thank you for that introduction. Hope I can live up to it. So I thought I'd just give you a brief sort of overview of some of the things that have helped me in my career and some of the things that might help you, and what a really good career in research sort of needs and what can be helpful. So this is where I am now, somewhat startlingly, OBE in the Queen's Birthday Honours, but much more importantly, I'm the director of YESI, which is an interdisciplinary institute here in York that brings together researchers from across campus to tackle global challenges. And so I'll say a little bit more about that later. And I'm also research champion for environmental sustainability and resilience, and I'll say a little bit about how that can help you as well. But I wasn't always looking exactly like that, relaxed, leaning against a tree. I started out life eager and rather oddly dressed. This is my academic dress in Oxford when you used to have to wear a ridiculous get-up. And how did I get from there to there? My mum would say by putting on a lot of weight. That was her comment when she was asked to summarise her career for one of her oldest friends. Oh yes, Sue's changed a lot in the last few years. She's put on a lot of weight. Anyway, I won't pretend it's always been easy. This is me training students in Africa on tropical forestry generation, and we had a competition to see who could lift, for some reason, see who could lift that. And it's involved some quite amazing things, such as a Royal Institution Christmas lecture. So a career in academia can, I think you can see, be quite varied. Okay, so I thought I'd start by thinking a little bit about the nature of research, what the University of York thinks of research and research excellence. And the university's research strategy, little light reading, if you're ever struggling with insomnia, no, don't say that. York wants to provide a home for some of the best research in the world and be recognised as one of the best places worldwide to do research. But what does good look like? It's very easy to talk about research excellence, but what does it really mean? And I'll try and unpick that a little bit. We want to be innovative, to have an international perspective. Impact is a word that you'll hear an awful lot of. It's assessed these days, and people are very interested in how research can have impact. So I'll say a little bit about that. Collaboration and partnership, absolutely crucial. You know, people do not do, well, very rarely, they don't do things alone anymore. We need to have lots of different...
We've got a squirrel.
Oh. Well, I knew I was going to attract an audience. I didn't quite... Let me tell you about research excellence, actually. What you need to do is... Have you published enough recently? Who's the ecologist here? Oh, I am. Whoops.
I don't know, but what people are doing is tweeting him. So that's perfect.
Okay. Right, well, I'll try and be more interesting than the squirrel, but it could be a real challenge. Okay, so one of the things that we've done to try and promote research excellence at York is develop these research themes. And the idea is that they'll capitalise on the sort of interdisciplinary research strengths we've got at York. And we're supposed to be, as research champions, addressing big intellectual questions and social issues of our time. So we've got 7 of these themes. So I think whatever your sort of research area, I think you'll probably find that you'll be able to fit into those themes. So I direct the one called Environmental Sustainability and Resilience, and our aim is to look for innovative interdisciplinary research that's going to address critical environmental challenges. And we've really got huge environmental challenges at the moment. We're going to have increased energy demand, increased food demand, increased water demand, and all in the face of climate change. So there's never been really a more sort of critical time for environmental research. And the sort of overarching aims are to try and improve the resilience of systems, global systems, in the face of these short-term environmental shocks, but also long-term environmental change. and also to look at solutions. It's very easy when you're in sort of global change and work on climate change and things like that to always be focusing on the bad news and on the problems. But what we need to do, of course, as researchers, and what's the most inspiring thing to do, is to think about the ways that we can actually help. So it's a great time, actually, if you're in research at the moment, to really be thinking innovatively about how to address some of these challenges. So you can read more about all the themes on the websites, and just some of the key topics that we've picked out for this theme. Waste and resource use, a huge issue around waste, obviously environmental change. A lot of interesting synergies between the themes, particularly between, say, environment and health. We're thinking about air pollution and city living, the damaging effects of environmental pollution on health, but also the good effects of green space on mental health, those kind of things, and chemicals in the environment. Lots of interest in, for example, antibiotics in rivers and so on. And one of the big focus areas is food security. How do we produce enough sufficient nutritious food for the world's growing population in the face of climate change? So, if we think about these challenges, of course, one thing you'll notice is they're all very interconnected. You can't grow food without enough water. Climate change is impacting on water and impacting on crop yields and so on. So this Ban Ki-moon, the former Secretary General at the UN, now more than ever we need to connect the dots between climate, poverty, energy, food and water, and these issues cannot be addressed in isolation. And I think one of the key messages from me is that think about the people you need to partner with, the disciplines you need to work with to address some of these exciting research questions. There's loads of research challenges, there's loads of exciting things you can be doing, but chances are you'll need to do them with people from other disciplines. So that's one of the things that YESI does. You can read about YESI on our website, all the different projects. So there's also a page saying how to sign up to our well, you can just click and sign up to our newsletter, and there's a page telling you all the things that we can help you with as early career researchers, organising events, helping you with research bids and so on. And this is our kind of vision at YESI, interdisciplinary partnerships to generate sustainable solutions to global challenges. So as I've just said, interdisciplinarity is the key to solving these global research challenges, but also that's where you get the impact. If you work with social scientists or economists, for example, that's how your research can really change people's livelihoods or well-being. The other message I would say is that research takes a long time, which you're probably thinking, shit, I haven't got a long time. But you know, I know postdocs and PhDs are time limited and so on, but don't give up. The big thing is persistence. You need to keep well, actually, my top tip for an academic career is learn how to face setbacks, because that's what will happen. Papers will get rejected, grants will get knocked back, and you think, well, once you get to a certain stage, that doesn't happen. Oh, yes, it does. It's still happening to me, despite my OBE. People still give me a hard time. Just not good enough. So you need to be prepared for that, and it's the passion and enthusiasm for what you do that will carry you through that. And then, as I say, it's good to have initiative and independence and be able to work on your own, but isolation isn't a good thing. Get networked, engage with people, come to events like this, and ask for help. People are sometimes really slow to think, actually, you know, so-and-so knows how to do this, but maybe I better not ask. Ask. You know, get help. Everybody's in the same boat and people are happy to help you out. Okay, so what can we do as research champions? Well, this is our kind of overarching roles to facilitate interactions between departments and disciplines, build links at the interface with other themes. I do quite a lot with Karen. We obviously both like standing in front of trees for our official photography. So health and well-being there's a lot of links there with environment. We're trying to identify, you know, the next big thing, the key topics that are coming down the track, so we can start to think about who might want to be involved in tackling those. As I said, we have lots of workshops and events, and we can try and help you with large proposals, you know, identifying potential partners and so on. I mean, one senior academic from biology came and sat in my office the other day and said, I I'm thinking of going interdisciplinary. I'm really going to reach out. I might work with someone in environment. And actually, of course, what he needed to do for the project he was talking about was work with people from English. And he was completely nonplussed and didn't know how to start. So we can help with that because we know lots of different people across the campus. We can also provide pump priming funds and travel funds. I've run a couple of schemes for early career researchers specifically for travel to network and so on. And then we can help you build external partnerships. And we also want to try and raise the profile of your research by hosting big events. Okay, so here are a couple of examples. Keep an eye on the Global Challenges Research Fund. That's the 1.5 billion fund that the government's made available for research in the Global South. It's always interdisciplinary, and there are a range of different schemes. There's also another scheme you might be interested in as part of the government's drive to increase the amount of GDP spent on research. They've launched this Future Leaders Fellowship application scheme. That's for people to have 5 or possibly up to 10 years research funding to do really exciting, innovative, interdisciplinary things. We've got a couple of those in the university already. So Benji Lichtman in biology has one. So talk to people who've been successful and find out what they did so you can do the same. As I've already said, we can do pump priming funds, rapid response schemes if there's some urgent need for a small amount of cash, and we can do lots of networking events. And one thing I haven't mentioned so far, but I do quite a lot of, is policy. And at the moment, I've got a 3-year research grant on post-Brexit environmental policy, and I strongly suspect the grant will be over before we've actually left. But there we go. Okay, I said I'm going to have some top tips for you. I don't think these will be a surprise to you, but I thought I'd run through them anyway. Publish. One of my early bosses said to me, if you haven't written it up and published it, you haven't done it. And actually, that's pretty true. There's no point doing loads of research and sticking the results in a drawer in your office. Nobody knows about it, so you might as well not have bothered. But go for quality, not quantity. Since the ref, there's an interest in the really top-notch papers. But that said, obviously, your first paper probably won't be in Nature unless you're extremely lucky. So, start where you can, but try and go for quality. Apply for funding, even if it's small things, just to show that you can get some money in is really good. I've already mentioned get connected, network and be seen. I was always shy and retiring, even as an undergraduate. And don't be afraid to try something new. To reach out to other disciplines, to try some interesting ideas. I know your time is limited, so you don't want to back the wrong horse, and I do appreciate that. But look out for some interesting opportunities that just strike you. You might all end up going wrong, and you can end up looking quite ridiculous. Probably not as ridiculous as me dressed as a sheep. This was just after I'd started as a professor at the University of Sussex, and I was in the school panto, School of Life Sciences panto as a sheep. And somebody told me later the dean had leant across and said, "Who on earth is that?" And this person said, "Oh, that's our new professor of ecology." To which he replied, "Did we ask the right questions at the interview?" But more seriously, think about expanding your skills. I've always done a lot of policy work, a lot of public service. I started off working on a science advisory board for Scottish Natural Heritage. I'm now a trustee at Kew. I'm on the board of Natural England. I had an interview for that with Michael Gove, deep joy. And I used to work for the European Food Safety Authority. So there's lots of different things you can do that can start to expand your skills beyond the sort of conventional academic ones. And for some of the careers you might be thinking of going into, that's a good idea. Obviously for academia, publishing and funding are the real top-notch things. But it's worth exploring if you're good at policy, if you're good at public service, if there's those sorts of things you enjoy, you're good at, you build your skills at, it gives you other avenues. Because this is my actual final message. Enjoy what you do or do something else. there's a world beyond academia, and I'm not going to lie, academia is a tough gig. It's a really tough gig. One of my recent PhD students, she'd finished a thesis, she'd got a couple of really classy papers, she was very smart, she was in a very vibrant area of science. I said, how about a postdoc? You know, you could go into academia. She looked at me and she said, oh, God, no, I don't want a life like yours. And what she meant was, you know, in the office, hour after hour after hour, you know, I'm not going to lie, it's a hard, hard life. So there's other things that you can do. But whatever you do, enjoy it. And the great thing is, I've always enjoyed it. As an undergraduate, as a postdoc, as a lecturer, in public service, doing my Christmas lectures. You will notice a certain common theme. That's why I always seem to be enjoying things. But that's my real take-home message. Enjoy it. Or go and enjoy something else. Okay, thank you. Have I seen like a squirrel? Where is it?